Welcome to the show.
No, thanks a lot.
Appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me.
No problem.
One of my favorite questions is, what's your sober date?
February 11th, 1984.
February 11th, 1984. So you just said 40 years.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Let me,
Congratulations.
let me turn my volume here. Yep, 40
February,
years.
February 11th, 1984. What was going on February 10th of 1984?
I tried some coke, and I thought if I did the coke with this young lady in college, she'd go home with me. And did the coke, she didn't go home with me, and I blew my sobriety date.
Oh, so you had already been sober.
Yeah, I had my last drink November 6th of 1983.
Okay. And all right, let's backtrack then.
Sure.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Bethesda, and I currently live in Rockville, Maryland.
Oh, okay. I'm a little bit familiar with Maryland. I used to live in South Jersey, so I spent a lot of time down in Baltimore and Ocean City.
Mm-hmm. Very familiar with both those areas.
Yep. And let's see here. You grew up there. What did you discover first, drugs or alcohol?
Oh, definitely alcohol.
How old were you?
I had my first drink probably when I was like 5 or 6. I was at a wedding in White Plains, New York. I had my blue blazer on, my red tie, a crew cut, and a glass of champagne. And I was smiling. Not a good sign.
Are you an only child? Do you have brothers or sisters?
I've got 2 older brothers and an older sister.
Okay, so you're the youngest?
Yep, I'm the baby.
Parents stay together, or was there a divorce at all?
No, they stayed together. They were married, and they went through some challenges. My father is a recovering alcoholic too, and yeah, he survived pancreatic cancer 16 years.
He still has it?
No, he died the day before September 11th.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
he was diagnosed a year after I got sober.
It's funny how that happens. You get sober, and then all these health issues
come
up.
Oh yeah.
It happened to not that extent, but for me, I got clean 6 years ago, and then my gallbladder stopped functioning 2 years later.
Wow.
And they blamed it on my addiction years, because I was addicted to opiates for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you're withdrawing from opiates, you throw up a lot of bile. Yeah. And I threw up so much bile over the 10 years in addiction that my gallbladder stopped working.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a disease on my feet called Charcot neuropathy and peripheral neuropathy, and it's due to diabetes. I'm not diabetic. Second thing is metal in your system. I'm not metal in my system. Dr. Charcot and the 1,700 all these men got syphilis. I don't have that. And the last one is alcoholism. And I was diagnosed about 4 years ago. And that was the only conclusion, is due to my alcoholism, even though I've been sober at 36 years. Supposedly something happened in my nerve cells down near my feet, the circulation, where I did some damage to it, and it was dormant. Then I've had about overall 12 surgeries on my feet, but I had probably about 6 or 7 or 8 of them before, and then it just took out of dormancy, and then I was diagnosed with that Charcot, and my feet are numb and in pain every day. I could step on glass or a nail. If I don't feel it, I just deal with it. And I've had just recently had 2 surgeries on my big toe where I almost lost it. I lost a toe from a bad surgery, and I've had also a hip replacement, knee replaced, and I take no narcotic pain meds. And the reason why is because so many people have gone back out and got addicted to the opioids. I said, you know what? I value my sobriety too much, and I just deal with the pain. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy, but I know it's possible.
It is. Mind over matter.
I was going to say it's a lot of mind over matter.
And a good faith in God.
Yeah. So you discovered alcohol when you were 6 at a wedding. Is there a time where you start drinking more regularly?
Probably in a little bit of probably junior high and a little bit of elementary, like 5th, 6th grade, but more junior high than high school. Then it got out of control, and then I went to college, got really out of control, and then flunked out of one college and went to another, and then after 2 WIs in 11 months, the judge threw the book at me, and my father, again, who was a doctor, said, the gig is up. You're an alcoholic. You can't drink anymore. And I got brainwashed by AA, and best brainwash I ever had in the College Park group.
Yep. So,
right near University of Maryland.
all right, and we'll catch up to that.
Sure.
So because I started drinking in 5th grade, also.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started drinking on Saturday nights. My friend would sleep over, and we would sneak into my parents' basement, and that's where all the liquor was.
Oh yeah.
My parents weren't drinkers, but they knew how to throw a party.
Yeah.
So there was always liquor in the basement that they were from parties.
Oh yeah.
And the thing was, I didn't have to worry about refilling it because they weren't drinkers, so they weren't checking the bottles to see how much you can drink. So we would sneak Captain Morgan and make Captain and Cokes and watch movies and shit, and that was how we spent our nights.
Yeah.
And by the time I was in junior high, it was every Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
High school, it was by the time I was a junior or senior, I was drinking almost every night.
Yeah, I wasn't drinking I wasn't drinking every day, but when I drank heavily and blacked out, threw up, did stupid stuff, but I played sports and I was very athletic. But I usually saved it for the weekends.
So. Yeah, I wish my alcoholism got so bad that I stopped playing sports. I chose alcohol over sports, and even going into my senior year in high school, I decided to forego playing football because I wanted to be able to party with my friends. Yeah. So I mean, not like I was going to go to college and play football or anything, Yeah. I think we only had one person that made it out of our high school to play football, and everyone is Joe Flacco.
Oh, God, a big Ravens fan.
Yep, I figured so with Maryland. But yeah, he was my quarterback when he was a senior and I was a sophomore.
Wow.
Yeah. So
now he's playing for the Baltimore Colts. He's starting quarterback now.
Yep. No. Or Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. Sorry, Indianapolis.
They're not.
They snuck away at midnight.
They're not your team anymore.
Yeah. When I think it was a year after I got sober, they drove out of Baltimore in the Mayflower Hotel, van lines with all their stuff, and then went to Cleveland. And of course, then they switched to the Colts. So
yeah.
Was it? Wait, no. Yes. It was I'm sorry. It was Indianapolis. Sorry about that. My bad. And then we took over the Cleveland Browns. They came over to us. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. The Browns lost like 2 years in the 90s.
Yeah.
There was like 2 years without the Browns, and then they came back.
Yeah, Art Mardell told us because they wanted to get a stadium, and I guess the city of Cleveland wouldn't build it for them. So he said, I'm moving to Baltimore. So moved to Baltimore. So.
Yep, and then 2 years later, they opened back up in Paul Brown Stadium or whatever it is.
Yeah. And then Irsay actually the son is actually a recovered alcoholic, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is he?
Yes, he's a big collector of big books. That's what I remember hearing. So
one of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Did you ever have to deal with any repercussions with drinking?
Oh God, yeah. Throwing up on, passing out, totaling cars, getting arrested with alcohol in the truck. I was in a keg and I was in the front seat, so they arrested me as the driver, even though I wasn't driving. Disorderly conduct, breaking into a house in Frostburg in a total drunkenness, and then finally cops caught me hiding behind a tombstone in the graveyard. Don't remember getting there, all in a blackout.
Well, let's see here. Was the legal age for you 18?
Yes.
Okay,
but I drank before that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm saying it was more because of your email. You were born in 62?
Yes.
Okay, same as my parents.
Yeah, so I'm old enough to be your father.
Yep, my dad was 23 when he had me.
Okay.
So, and I remember him saying that the drinking age was 18. They got grandfathered in.
Yeah.
And the drinking age changed when he was 19, but he was still allowed to since he had already turned 18. But like I said, my mom knew how to throw a party. Mm-hmm. And that's, she was like party central in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't like big avid drinkers. My mom might drink a beer or two when she goes to trivia night with her girlfriends. And I don't think my dad drank the last 2 years that he was alive. Like he was not a drinker.
Yeah.
He passed last June.
My
Colon
condolences to you.
cancer. What's that?
My condolences to you.
Yeah, thank you. It was one of those things that I never learned how to process grief very well, and caused me a relapse. But I'm back into the program again.
Good.
It's all the things that you hear. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped talking to my sponsor. I stopped having a connection with my higher power.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I wasn't on the street buying drugs again. I haven't bought street drugs in over 6 years. But I manipulated my psychiatrist to give me Valium. First Ativan, then I abused that. And then he gave me something stronger, which was Valium. And then I abused that. I started smoking weed all day, every day. I was just not right.
Yeah. Oh.
So I quit everything back on April 1st. So
this year?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yep. I had I was still having trouble saying God again. Then I had a dream that I do daily meetings every day at noon. And I had a dream that I walked into a church basement and my dad was sitting there saying, "Welcome back." And, that carried with me for a long time when it came to I'm in the right spot again. And I'm doing the right thing about being sober and coming back to the rooms. So 40 years, I can't put my finger on that. That's that's a long time.
Day at a time. Day at a time now. One day at a time.
Yeah, because I thought
all through God and hey, there I am.
My sponsor's got 30 years, and I thought that was a lot.
No. Well, best thing that ever happened to me. Getting sober, getting 2 DUIs in 11 months, and the judge still in the book at me.
So what was going on when you got the DUIs? Were you at a party or something, or what was going on?
Second DUI, I went into work. I reeked of alcohol, and they said, "We don't need you." I go out to the car, the keys in the ignition. The car was running. I had to get my buddy to get the keys from my mom. He came down to Georgetown, which is in D.C., went back to his place, and hey, let's go out to University of Maryland College Park and hang out. He goes, "Dude, I'm not going there. You're a freaking nutcase." And we went out. So I went out there by myself, started drinking, mixing beer and gin and tonics, and went to a party at this place called Ritchie Coliseum. And then I passed out at a fraternity house, and it was raining that night. So about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I decided to attempt to drive home. I ran outside. It was raining out. Fell in a ditch. I threw off my pants. All I had was a white shirt on and underwear and black socks, and attempted to drive home and smashed the whole left side of the car. Then we're in the Beltway near Holy Cross Hospital in Silver Spring. Took them an hour to get me out of the car, and my brother had to come down and calm me down. They had to reconstruct my knee, and that was April 16th of 1983. And it was the same day. The next day, I think it was these terrorists drove a car into Lebanon embassy and killed all these American troops. I remember watching that in the hospital room, and the police officer waited until I woke up and gave me a ticket. And my parents came into the hospital, and my father shook his head. And but about a couple months later, I went to a party, and a football party. They said you had to pay $15 or $16 to go. I go, "Well, I don't drink. It's tough luck. You got to pay." I go, "Well, I'm not going to drink." He says, "If you don't pay the money, I'm going to throw you out." So I gave him the money. I started drinking, and I just started drinking from there, and then went back to school and just left off. And finally, I went to a Redskins game. The Redskins were playing the St. Louis Cardinals. Nick Giacquino scored a touchdown. I chugged a beer. And I said, "I'm not drinking anymore." My buddy goes, "Okay, fine." That was the same guy that got the keys from my mother to let me unlock the door and get in the car. Got out to his truck. He had a beer. He goes, "Kelly, you want a beer?" He goes, "No, I quit drinking." And the next day I went to court, and the judge threw the book at me. He chastised my father. He said, "You're a doctor. Your son's got problems. He's got an alcoholic. He's got issues." My mother's crying. And I'm sitting on that bench in Bethesda, Maryland, and I said, "I guess the gig is up." And my father, again, told me, as I said earlier, he drove me back to school and says, "Kelly, you can't drink anymore. You're an alcoholic." And a couple years earlier, he tried to trick me and say that I had an ulcer. So he said, you got to calm down your drinking. So for about 2 months, I didn't drink. And then finally said, I'm fine now. And went back and started drinking again. And that same guy that got the keys from my mother, and I went to the rescue and had my last drink, just died just recently, right before the 4th of July weekend. He died of cirrhosis of the liver. So 40 years ago in life, we came to a fork in the road. I turned to the left, got sober, and he turned to the right and drank himself to death.
Yeah.
Very sad. And I actually went to the funeral and everything like that, and met both his kids. And I said, there by the grace of God could go I. And real wake-up call. And there's, and the guy, he was very important in my life. He was very influential. And I know him very well. I've known him since kindergarten. And it's sad. And a guy that was in the program, he reached out to me back on during the pandemic. He said, I'm part of the group now. And I said, oh, good. So, so I said, hey, when we go down to the funeral, let's get together and go to a meeting. He goes, well, I kind of go meet with my college roommate and all that stuff. And when I went into the wake, the reception after the funeral, I saw him there, and he put down his beer. And then we sat down at a table. I go, hey, what's going on? He goes, dude, if you want to drink, it's not my. I'm not here to police anybody. You want to drink, go ahead. And he goes, well, I went through a nasty divorce, and I thought if I got sober, I'd get my marriage together, and it didn't. So I'm going through a divorce now, so I need to drink. And I said, okay, sounds good to me. And but to me, it's very I don't know, very sad excuse, but you know what? To each his own. And I've gone through a divorce, and I've gone through a son passing away, and I stayed sober. I've gone through both my parents passing away, stayed sober. I've gone through losing a job, I stayed sober. I had to put down 4 dogs, stayed sober. So I learned a long time when I got sober at University of Maryland. This guy shared, his golf game was lousy, his marriage was lousy, his job was not going well. He had God and AA down the bottom, but as soon as he put God and AA number 1 and 2, the golf game got better, the marriage got better, the job got better. And to this day, the most important thing in my life is my sobriety and my relationship with God. It's more important than my wife, my kids, anything. Because without those 2 things, I'm nothing. And I'm not saying, if someone asks me to lead a meeting, I'm going to have a family obligation, I'm going to blow off that, family obligation to go to the meeting. But I just know a drink or drug is not going to make anything better. Solve anything. It won't bring, if someone dies, it won't bring someone back to life. It won't bring back your job. It won't bring back your marriage. It's only going to worsen things. And I've seen it all happen. And I know a guy that had 35 years, went back out, stopped praying, stopped doing service work. And all of a sudden, he lost a marriage, lost a house, lost a job. It's all due to alcoholism. This disease doesn't discriminate. And I do it. And I go to a couple meetings a week, and I do it not because I have to, because I want to. And when I hear that person is struggling, that's got a month or 2, or a guy that had a couple of years and went back out, I stop what I'm doing. I'm listening. I'm feeling that pain with him, and just knowing it's not getting any better. It's not easy, and and that's why you can't get this in a book, and it's living and then being there. But again, even though I've got this much time, I could go out tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed. All I got is today, and that's all I've got.
Yeah.
So, didn't make it off topic, but
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Completely fine. You reminded me that I'm I always say that I'm addicted to the substance more. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm addicted to that more, whatever's filling the void, whether it's more alcohol, whether it's more opiates, more gambling, codependency. I'm addicted to 12 steps. I do NA, I do AA, I do Gamblers Anonymous on the weekends. I have an AA sponsor, I have an NA sponsor. I don't have a GA sponsor yet. I'm still new into that program. since I've been abstinent from gambling. My last bet was July 12th.
Yeah.
So, and
I'm too frugal to bet sometimes. I'll bet here and there, but there's a reason
not
why.
me.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not frugal enough. I'll bet my last $10 if I had it, and it was one of those things where it was spiraling out of control. It was overtaking my daily, what I was watching and why I was watching or how I was going to, scheming to how am I going to get money in order to place a bet today. And, it reminds me, this is why I started doing GA is because of right after the semicolon and the first step, my life would become unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
And my life was unmanageable because of gambling. And that's when I knew, all right, I got to get into GA.
Yeah.
And I live in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. So there's no GA there's barely even an NA presence where I live. So I found a Zoom GA meeting based out of Las Vegas because I figured anyone can learn how to stop gambling. It's people in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the gambling. I've been in Vegas once and I actually won $250. And what happened was my company, Quest Communications, we stayed at the Bellagio. And every time I go to a seminar, if you ask questions, they give you $50 chips. So I'd ask questions at every seminar, so I ended up getting like $250 of chips. And then one day I decided to gamble in the slot machine, so I put in $10, and halfway there I was losing something. Then I said, "Oh, let me get another $10," and I started playing some more. And then all of a sudden I won something. I go, "Okay." So I said, "You know what?" And after a while I said, "This is getting stupid." So I turned around and gave him my couple quarters. He goes, "Here's $20, and here's a quarter." So I won a quarter in the slot machines, plus the $250 for all the chips I turned in from going to the seminars and asking questions. So actually, you can win. But anyway, very lucky.
I was there when I was 18, or I was 20 years old, so I couldn't bet yet.
Yeah,
and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was there, and it was a cool little city.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like I'm more of a sports bettor.
Yeah.
I'm not like a card game player.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And football, I like football a lot, and I like betting on football.
Yeah.
And then football ended, and then baseball started. And the difference is when I'm betting on football, it's once a week, maybe twice a week on a Monday.
Yeah.
But with baseball, it's on 7 days a week.
Oh yeah.
So I found myself betting every single day, and my wife was finally had enough of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yep, you're right. I'm done. I'm calling it a quits. I'm going to start doing meetings.
Good.
And I jumped right into GA.
Yeah. My brother told me a long time ago, he's a very rich guy. And this is when I was in between my second DWI and took a semester to get my act together. We went to Atlantic City, and I had $200. I didn't have a lot of money. I had $200. So I'm going to make some money. I lost that $200 in probably about 20 minutes. My brother goes, "There's a reason why these casinos are in business, and it's surely not to give you money."
Yeah.
And I learned that a long time. I learned that a very valuable lesson. So,
Yeah, I grew up 45 minutes from Atlantic City.
Yeah,
in South Jersey. It was only a 45-minute ride down to Atlantic City from where I grew up.
Yeah.
Did you say your dad was an alcoholic too?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And but he quit on his own. He never used AA, and he did it on his own. And he decided his practice. He was a doctor. His practice is very important. And they said, "You keep on drinking, we'll take away your medical license." And that was dear to him. And he grew up in Gloucester, Massachusetts, with a penny to his name. And he paid his way through Middlebury College, and he paid his way through Georgetown Medical School. Interviewed med students. He loved medicine, and learning that he might lose his license terrified him, and he quit drinking. And he never really taught me why. He didn't ever tell me how he did it, but he just did it cold turkey. And that was good. I'm pretty sure he talked to people, but he didn't go to meetings. And there's a big reason why I keep on going to meetings, because it's just not about drinking. It's about changing your life and your personality, and you got the character defects, and you got the amends. And when you make when you do something stupid, you gotta clean up your path, your side of the street. Doesn't matter what those other people do. And I make mistakes every day. I'm not don't have a hail in the back of my head. And those 10 steps are very important to me, and I try to clean up my side either that day or the next day or a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later or a couple of months later. But the program has taught me to have a conscience. Just not about drinking, but about other things, and just trying to do the right thing. And
Yeah, I know what you mean. I did it the other day. I did it, and it didn't even dawn on me. I was at a 7-Eleven, and I still smoke cigarettes, unfortunately. I chew nicotine gum all day long while I work, but I'm in the path to try to quit smoking. But I buy 2 packs at a time because you save $2.
Yeah.
And the guy rung me up, with my energy drink and my 2 packs, and he told me the total was like $17. I said, nope, it should not be $17. You're missing something.
Yeah.
And then he looked and he was like, oh, I didn't scan the other pack of cigarettes in. I said, well, you might as well do that. This way I don't get you in trouble for you to lose your job over it.
Yeah. I was shocked when I heard the price of cigarettes are $17 a pack. And
that's a lot down there then. I'm in the middle of nowhere, so it's like $10 here.
Well, I was in Ocean City. I was at an AA convention. But I quit smoking 6 months after I quit drinking. And how I did that was twofold. I saw all these people that had 5, 10, 15, 20 years sobriety, and they took their drugs and alcohol and moved it to caffeine and cigarettes. And I saw them with yellow teeth, their clothes their clothes reeked, they had stuff on their shirts and all that stuff. And I said, and they coughed a lot and all that stuff. I said, I don't want to be like that. And so I was taking a psychology class at Maryland, and I saw that this one was Skinner, how the rat ate the cheese and got shocked. So I said, let me do that with the cigarette. So I actually took the cigarette, smoked it all the way down to the filter, and burnt my lips twice. And the next day, I went to go pick up a cigarette. I said, what am I doing? And I've not had a cigarette since then. Now it's over 40 years ago. I know that's crazy, but it's I just remember the pain. So when I smoked it down the filter, I hurt my lips. I said, wait, I don't want to hurt my lips again. And I was backed up by this way of quitting, because if you're familiar with Tony Robbins, his father was an alcoholic, and one day his mother caught him drinking. And this was on his personal power tapes. And he goes, well, if you're going to be a man like your dad, I'm going to make you drink 2 6-packs. So he drank a couple beers, got sick, and he goes, I'm going to quit drinking. No. My mother said, no. You're going to drink all these 12 beers. He drank several more, got sick again, and then drank some more. They got sick again, and then he finally drank all 12 of them sick. He was sick as a dog, and he just remembers how he felt that way, and he's never drank since then. And he's not an alcoholic, but he just remembers that pain that he had with associated alcohol. So I guess that with my cigarettes, I remember the pain that I had with the cigarettes. And I know it's crazy, but I quit, and I'll smoke a cigar once in a blue moon, but I have not touched a cigarette since June of 1984.
1984.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's, I'm 38 now. I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
And my wife is 40 and she just quit and and she used the patch.
Yeah.
And, that was effective. And, luckily with nicotine gum and the patch, you can have your doctor prescribe it.
Yeah.
And you just pay a copay.
Yeah.
So I pay $1 and I get an entire pack of nicotine gum. And it's been helping me cut down smoking during the day. And, I would like to quit by the time I'm 40. That's a little goal I have in mind. So
why don't you try my way?
I have burnt myself so many times, Cal.
Try it again.
Yeah, I have.
Do it twice or 3 times. And the next day you think about it, remember the pain.
It's worth a shot.
Free.
I might as well put the cigarette out of my arm and see what happens.
But just remember, you'll have something associated with the cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
But also see all these people that have, a lot of sobriety, and they go back out. Are people that smoke for a long time. They're coughing. They're it's not good for their health. And God forbid, $17, $18 a pack. Come on. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
no, that's crazy money. I'm definitely not spending that much on a pack.
Yeah.
But then again, when I started smoking 25 years ago, I would say $10. I'll never spend $10 on a pack because 25 years ago they were $4 a pack. I was 13 when I first started smoking, and they were $4.25 for a pack of Marlboro.
Yeah.
And now I'm paying like $10.50 or $10.70 for a pack of Marlboro.
Yeah, when I was in high school or junior high, I think it was like 50 cents a pack or something like that. And they had the machines and all that stuff. You put your 50 cents in there, get your cigarettes. That was very easy, but no. But,
Yeah, you didn't need a fake ID to buy cigarettes in the 70s.
no. No.
My dad said he used to get sent down to the corner store and
Yep.
he would buy the cigarettes for his parents.
Yep.
And they would know who my, grandfather and grandmother were. And they would pull the cigarettes off and just hand them to him.
Yep.
And he would run back down the street and hand them the cigarettes.
Yeah. But
times have changed.
Oh yeah, times have changed dramatically over the 40 plus years that I've been sober and alive. And when I drank, there was no AP, the pill, what the microbreweries and all that stuff, and all that stuff is all foreign to me. And then now with all these, all these drinks they have, these bars and all that stuff, all blow my mind, and they're also very expensive too. So I've saved a good amount of money over 40 years, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. I would say so.
I think so. Anyway.
So 40 years, and you said you lost your marriage while in sobriety?
No, I was sober when I got married. What we had is we got married. We had a son. At 6 months, they had thought he had a rare neurological disease. They gave him 1.5 years to live, and after we were married for about 7 years, and finally, my ex-wife didn't like the school system in Montgomery County, didn't like schools in Howard County. Said I'm going to Anne Arundel County, and moved out of the house. And I actually filed for divorce, and that was I think it was 95, and I think November of 95, and then finally we got finalized on 96, and then the rare neurological disease was not true, and then they finally labeled it cerebral palsy, and then they finally took the blood out of my ex-wife and me and sent it to Columbia Hospital in New York, and he was diagnosed with rare muscular dystrophy disease. 1 of 4 kids in the world had it, and at the end they had to put it. It was right after Ronald Reagan passed away. He had seizures, and they stopped breathing. They had to resuscitate him, and they rushed him up to Johns Hopkins Hospital. And the next day, when Ronald Reagan passed away, and then they finally realized with my son they had to put a feeding tube in there. So about a month later, they put the feeding tube in there. But about 7 years before he passed away, they had to put a trach and a ventilator in there for him, and he died June 18th of 2016, and a little over 8 years, and he would have been 34 years old this December, on December 8th.
Did you say muscular dystrophy?
Yep.
That's my sister's, one of her really good friends that she went to prom with. He has that, and they said that he wouldn't live past 18.
Yeah. And
he's an only child, and his parents have taken him all over the world to, these vacations so he can see everything. And he's 27, and, he's showing them, and he's still living his life. He has friends, and, he's not letting it define who he is. And I respect that a lot out of him.
Yeah. I mean, there's very many scales. There's mild and there's massive, far end. And he was at the far end where he had, the trach in the ventilator, the feeding tube. He couldn't speak. Basically, he couldn't do anything. He had no control over his arms, his legs. So he was pretty much dependent on human beings. And but he was a gift from God. He taught me what life's about. And if you're familiar with the Catholic religion, he was born on December 8th, which is when Jesus was conceived. And I truly believe that he was a true gift from God. And finally, he went to sleep on a Friday night, and God said, "You filled your purpose on this earth, and come on home." And I exposed him to the outside world. I wish you could go to my old Facebook account. I posted all these pictures of who he met and what he did and all that stuff. And He actually sat in the president's chair. And he met Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds actually took him out of the wheelchair after he broke the record and gave him a hug. He had Cal Ripken, Lance Armstrong, Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Jason Giambi, Andre Agassi. I mean, just met all these people, and he was really an inspiration to me, and it taught me, he even though he couldn't speak, he dealt with his challenges, and he always had a smile, and especially when people came up to say hello to him. And I did some special things for him after he passed away. I gave my 34-year chip and my son's mass card to Ted Leonsis, and they won and the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup. I did the same thing to Coco Gauff, the tennis phenom. She won her first doubles championship in DC. This is right after she played in Wimbledon. She won another doubles championship that year and a singles championship that year. And then last year she won the U.S. Open. And I did the same thing to Mark Lerner, who owns the Nationals, and they won the World Series. So my son has some very special powers up in heaven. And I had a bunch of mass cards, and I just gave them out to people that, were just good people and strangers. And I said, this card is very special. And I had some more. I gave some more this past year. And my son, I as I said earlier, I realized how special he was, and I exposed him. And we've done a lot of places that weren't handicap accessible, where there was a will, there was a way, and he changed a lot of people's lives. And people share things with me that they would never share with anybody else because I was so open about my son. And I dated a girl who had scoliosis in college, and it freaked me out. And God said, I'm going to put your son in your life to change your view on disabilities. And I had to get sober to get this gift. And to this day, he's watching over my wife and my other son. And, he's just, he's got my back. And it's kind of funny. I've got an AA prayer book right here. It's called the 12-Step AA Prayer Book. And on the back of my son's mass card is footprints in the sand. And a couple of years ago, I went to go do my morning meal, reads and also my prayers, and looked on December 8th. And the prayer for that day was footprints in the sand. I went to Mass that day, and it's December 8th is a holy day of obligation in the Catholic religion. The same communion song was the same one of my son's funeral. You know what? You can't make this stuff up. And the day of my son's funeral was 2 years to the day when my mother passed away. And there's so many things. And I remember one time this past year, I had to lead a meeting for 50 minutes. And the prayer for that day was footprints in the sand. So when people say they have a hard time believing in a higher power of God, I disagree. I mean, I should not be here talking to you right now. I should have been dead on April 16th of 1983, but God had a different plan for me. I tried to commit suicide. I was in college my first year at Frostburg. I slit my lips left and right instead of up and down. And I woke up the next day, blood on the floor. And I looked at that. I just taped it up, cleaned up the blood, taped it to my wrist, and played rugby that afternoon. But God didn't want me to die. He had special plans for me. And again, He brought my son in there, and it's a complete fate. There's no question about it. And there's just I can't. I just at first I was upset and mad about my son, but then I realized why he was put on this earth. And in the end, I really, really understood. And then when he left, I got a complete grasp of who he was. And he was on this for a short time, and he really taught people what life's about. And and he always had a smile when people said hello to him. He always had a smile, no matter what. And he was in pain, all that stuff. And I say this all because it's all through sobriety. I got to realize this stuff. If I was drinking, then none of this stuff would happen. But me being clear-headed and all that stuff, and getting sober at a young age, and then having him come in there, then make me realize what it's all about. And pretty cool life. And at 62, I'm not a rich man financially. I'm okay, but I'm rich in so many different ways that you can't put a price tag on it. And I remember when when I had a bad surgery, I actually lost a long toe of my right foot. And I was wide awake when they had to cut it off. And I don't take any pain meds, so they blocked up my foot. And I was in the hospital bed, felt sorry for myself. And all of a sudden I turned on the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I start crying. I go, I'll be okay. And I put something on Facebook. 3 friends came out of the woodworks, came and saw me the next day, Christmas Day. And so I look for those outside signs. When I walk around, outside in the world, I don't have things glued in my face, because you never know who you might meet in the streets. Because so many people have their phone glued to their face, look at their message, look at their emails and all that stuff. And you never know who you might come in your path. If you got that thing in front of it, you'll miss it. So,
no, that's the truth.
Getting off topic, but that's
Well, no, the question I did ask you, about your kid.
Yeah.
So, but we jumped over to suicide thing. Is that what was going on?
Just depressed. Didn't have a girlfriend. Just life was in the toilet. Just flunking out in school, and just life was just spiraling. And this guy beat me up and gave me a bloody nose and all that stuff. And I go, my life's not worth living. And I slipped my wrist. And thank God I did it the wrong way. And as I said earlier, I passed out and then woke up the next day with blood on the floor, but conscious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I had suicidal ideations towards the end of my opiate addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost a fiance to suicide 9 years ago, and I didn't know how to process that death either. Yeah. I took responsibility for it because everyone was placing the blame my way anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I heard in a meeting once that really stuck with me, that rang true for me, which was I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to be conscious anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that made a lot of sense to me. Yeah. And that's how I felt, that desperation at the end of my opiate addiction, because that was my entire 20s was into opiates every day, all day. It's all I cared about.
Yeah, I saw a couple movies on Netflix, and I had all these surgeries on my feet and my hip and my knee, and the first thing they want to do is give you opioids, pain meds, narcotic pain meds. And even though you tell the doctors, I'm a recovering alcoholic, I don't take those stuff, and they still prescribe it anyway. And but I've just seen, I've seen so many people go back out, and what you're saying is just, just verifies how sick this disease is, and the opioids, and it's crisis. But Purdue the Purdue company, they're getting hit with all these lawsuits, and they settled, and they finally, these lawyers, no, we want more money. We're not going to let you off. They're coming after them full blast, because
they should.
Yeah. They got all these doctors, and they got all these young ladies and people that push these drugs to the doctors, and the doctors pushed it onto the patients, and it's sad. It's an epidemic. And I've seen these kids come in these meetings hooked on opioids, and pain meds and all that stuff, and it's scary. And it takes control of their mind. So
I had a guy on the show once that he was in 8th grade. He had a football injury, and he was prescribed opiates, and took them. And then once he ran out of them, he got more. And then when he ran out, he couldn't get more. So that's when he started buying them on the street.
Yeah.
And as in the high school, and hooked on opiates because of getting them prescribed to him as a kid.
Yeah.
And he's not by himself. What did you watch that Painkiller TV show on Netflix?
Yeah.
About Purdue, and there's also Dope Sick on Hulu, which is very similar to Painkiller. They both are all about Purdue Pharma and how bad they were and how bad they are. I mean, everyone knows the pain scale in the hospital. Yeah, they created that pain scale in order to prescribe you more opiates. It's crazy.
Oh, they sometimes ask me, what's your pain level? It's 1 to 10. I go, about 8 or 7. Oh, we got to give you something. No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. I'll just deal with it. Just deal with the pain. And I know eventually it'll subside, and I'll be okay. So
Yep, and here you are. You're still doing good.
I guess so. I'm still alive.
Almost 41 years later.
Yeah, a day at a time. And,
Yep.
and I changed my sobriety. It took me over about 6 months to a year to change my sobriety date because I thought it was just drugs, it was alcohol only. But if I want to stay true and honest, I had to change my sobriety date. And I'm glad it took me. I think it was about 6 months. I think, or a year. I'm not sure exactly when, but I changed it. And I had one sobriety date, but I have 2 dates of when I had them all. And I never want to forget either date. But my my sobriety date is February 11th of 1984 of drugs and alcohol. And when I did that slip, I went to the College Park meeting and told everyone what I did. Everyone said I slipped except this one guy, and he was the secretary of the meeting. And it was about 50 or 60 people in that meeting. It was a big meeting. And he said, "Oh, you're fine, you're fine." And I found out later on he was going around on the weekends and chasing the Grateful Dead and getting high every weekend. So not a very reliable source.
Yeah.
But I wanted to shop for that answer, and I got that answer, and then I justified it. But then I rationalized it and realized no, it's all or nothing. And
yeah, I got 4 different dates that I hold close to me. I mean, I have April 25th, 2018. That's when I stopped opiates.
Yeah.
I have February 29th, 2020. The last time my last drink was 2/28/20. And I woke up on Leap Day, 2/29. It was a Saturday. And I realized I drank a bottle of Jack the night before. And I said to my wife, like, either I need a drink or we need to quit.
Yeah.
And she was like, she's an alcoholic too. Yeah. And she said, well, I'll quit with you. And then COVID shut down everything 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
We had to hunker down and do it together. Yeah. Luckily, I had already been through the steps, so I understood what I needed to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that day, and then April 1st of 2024 is benzos like Xanax and Valium and weed, and now July 13th, gambling.
Yeah.
So I have 4 dates that I celebrate throughout the year. But right now, the one that I hold true, closest to is a 4/1. The 6 months, 7 months, whatever it is now. Just because it was so hard. I smoked weed since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
Like, and for me to go this long, it's the longest I've gone since I was 13.
And I tell people, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We're going to fall. We're going to have to take a break once in a while, but it's okay. And people, don't beat yourself up. But to really be true and to be honest with yourself, it's all or nothing. That's my opinion. And there's people that said the California sobriety, where it's okay to get high and all that stuff. Hey, by all means, whatever floats your boat. But to me, it's all or nothing, period.
Yep. And I was definitely Cali sober for a while. Mm-hmm. And I even went to a rehab in Los Angeles that taught you how to use marijuana as a medicine and I was using it as a medication, as needed to help me sleep at night or, when I was feeling anxious. And then when my dad passed, I started smoking all day, every day.
Yeah.
And it was becoming a crutch as opposed to a medication. Yeah. So when I quit the benzos, I decided I was going to quit weed with it. And, my wife just quit also. She has MS. So, and it's progressive. She can't walk without her wheelchair. And, so she was using it as a medication, but she saw the progress I was making, and she decided on my 6-month anniversary is the day that she stopped smoking. So she's got a month now without weed, and it's the longest that she's gone in 30 years.
And what's her name?
Mikey.
M-I-C-K?
M-Y-K-E-E.
Okay. And of course, last name, same last name?
Yep.
We got a list of people I pray for.
I appreciate that.
And that's right here. I got too busy on my thing today, but I have a list I pray for every day. And it's like this. So I'll put her on my prayer list and put her in my prayers. And
thank you.
And that's what it's about. And before I could memorize the name, but it's gotten too complicated now. But and that's the power of prayer is very important. And, it's just something that's, it's something that's without God, I'm nothing.
And MS is rough. I never realized how bad MS was until, she was diagnosed 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but I see her overcoming things and, getting through and, and now she has a power chair. Yeah. So she can go outside and everything. We live in an apartment complex that has an elevator, so she doesn't feel like she's trapped.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, man. We're getting there. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me tonight, Kelly.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Is there any other question you want to ask me or anything else? Or
nope. We covered it all that I got.
Okay, well, good. It was nice talking to you, and keep on doing what you're doing. And I tell people you shouldn't be ashamed of your addiction and all that stuff. And and I know a lot of people are very, very private about their sobriety, but you never know who you might help out. And I got 2 quick stories, and I'll shut up after this.
Yeah, you're fine.
One time I put something in AA that I celebrated a certain amount of years and all that stuff. And this lady comes up, she comes in because I have no idea who you are, but somehow we got connected. She lived in Louisiana. And like I said, I got a daughter the same age as when you got sober. You give me hope. And another lady that I went to high school with reached out to me, and, and then all of a sudden we had a 6-class reunion. And I went to that reunion, and we both walked in the same time. She looked at me, kind of a nasty look, and then we walked in the door, and then we walked to the party, and then after we were walking out, she was with her sister. I said, I got to tell Kelly something. She said, get away. I want to talk to Kelly. And I said, what did I do to her in high school? And she goes, I just want to share that what you've gone through in life and how you dealt with your son and how you've gone through all this stuff and how you changed and getting sober at 22. I've got a daughter the same age as you dealing with addiction. And you give me inspiration and you give me hope. And I was like just blown away. And she just recently had a second child or something like that. And all because she's sober. And that's why, that's why I'm not ashamed of being an alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic. I'm not ashamed of being, a person that's hooked on drugs and alcohol, but I'm doing something about it today. And I try not to break my anonymity, like say I'm an AA, but I just, so I'm in recovery because you never know who you might help out. And I've got a pretty powerful story. And after I tell my story, people go, oh my God, how'd you do all that stuff? I go, it's not me. And I always tell them what's that first word in the first step. And a lot of people don't know that. You'd be surprised. Do you know what that first word in the first step is? We. It took me over a year to realize that. And the reason why I'm sober today is not because of me. It's all of you people in AA and God. And, that footprints in the sand. As many times I've gone through some challenging times in life. And God's carried me through there. And other people have been there for me too. And inside and outside the program. And that's why I always emphasize whenever I sponsor someone or someone's struggling, and I talk to them, I go, let me ask you, what's that first word in the first step? And you'd be surprised. And again, it took me over a year to realize that because it was my ego. And again, I've had to do a lot of work, but it's all through God and AA and a great wife and, great brothers and sisters and all that stuff. But there's things like that.
Yeah. You reminded me too earlier. I've been doing this show since July of 2021, and I have over 200 episodes out of people's stories all over the world. And early on in my show, I cared so much about the numbers and seeing how many people were watching, how many people were watching this episode or that episode. And I was driven by that number. And then one night it was like, I don't know, midnight. And I got a message on Instagram from an account I didn't know saying, hey, I just watched 80 of your episodes. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm going into detox tomorrow. And thank you. Yeah. And I have done this show still because of that message. because I realized that I can help one person change their life, then why not continue doing this and help more people out?
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's it's like I had my Facebook hacked in, my Instagram hacked in back in August 15th, and I couldn't get through. I couldn't get it through the Meta. And I've had it since like mid 2000. I had like 5,000 friends and all that stuff. I had a big following, and finally I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and make up a account and change the names, and somehow I did it, and then finally got my name in there, and now I'm rebuilding it and all that stuff. And and I use Facebook not for sensation. I use it to, if I can spread some nice love and kindness or something like that, or something like that, or I put a joke out there and all that stuff, and the positive things, and I try to use social media instead of social media using me, and I've gotten sporting tickets. I actually got a puppy on Facebook, 2 puppies on Facebook. Just meeting all these interesting people, because you never know. And every day, the people I know, I send them a happy birthday on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on just a text message.
And this episode is going to come out in December.
Okay.
Right now I'm recording a lot. I'm releasing a new episode every single day from Thanksgiving Eve to New Year's Day as a way to raise awareness around relapsing during the holidays.
Yeah. But again, what I say is we can throw a little kindness and a little love into everyone every day. That's all that matters, and that's what it's all about. Because it's a crazy world we live in now, and there are good people out there, and we just got to find them. So, anyway.
I appreciate that, Kelly.
No problem.
Have a great night.
Same to you. Take care. God bless.
Bye-bye.